All right, before I wrap up the news on the show, got some bad news on Havana Syndrome. The last time I talked about Havana Syndrome on the show, I said, "Hey, look, even the CIA, the one of the main propaganda outlets of the U.S. government, the world empire, is saying here that we don't really think that this Havana Syndrome thing is real." However, it's just too good a propaganda. The media is too invested, and so they've found a way to obscure the situation, I think, enough with the CIA report to keep this propaganda narrative alive. And if anybody's been reading the news, particularly, I don't watch enough to know if they've been covering this in the mainstream on like the cable TVs and stuff. But if you've been reading any news, you've seen the headlines that expert panel finds Havana Syndrome may have been caused by direct energy weapons. Havana Syndrome possibly caused by direct energy weapons. And so on the last time on the show, I pointed out in the CIA report that they have dismissed in every case, they've been able to come to a conclusion. They've concluded it wasn't from a foreign power. It wasn't from any kind of direct energy weapon or weapon at all. It was a mass hysteria issue, a like other kind of illness issue, just declining as you get older kind of issues and things that were misattributed wrongly for years, causing the U.S. to, or at least used by the Trump administration as a pretext to really destroy the U.S. diplomatic relationship with Cuba, wasn't real, and this was absolutely huge. But now there is this expert panel that has said that, there are some cases where we don't know exactly what caused it, but it could have been some kind of energy weapon. And, the one of the few places that actually I think did a pretty decent job of explaining what was said was at Forbes here. And they say pulsed electromagnetic energy and ultrasound in close access scenarios could plausibly cause symptoms seen in a subset of cases, although there were information gaps for both theories. And so that's saying that we can't rule it out, but we don't think so. And that was blown up by the mainstream media into, well, we think it's probably one of these direct energy weapons, at least in some of these cases, and it's just absolutely not the case. And so very important that I just wanted to talk about and dismiss that. Now, the bad news is the Biden administration is still on board with this, apparently. Biden will appoint an official to coordinate the Havana Syndrome probe, and this is troublesome. It's not exactly clear who is going to head the probe at this point, but the fact that they're appointing an office to oversee this investigation suggests that this is going to go on for some time. And even if it is an honest person who in years comes back and says no, the fact that the office exists, I think, is going to be used by the war state to just promote its narrative. But more likely somebody gets promoted here who's at the very least interested in keeping their post in their office and being important to the U.S. mainstream and the establishment narrative, and they drag out the investigation, and any little thing that says like, oh, it could possibly be this, that, or the other thing, they'll use to try to amplify that narrative, even if it's from the beginning been very obviously not real attacks. And Havana Syndrome is just a deep state illness that was fabricated. Mainly, I think, cases of mass hysteria are wrongly attributed, or, just kind of blown up to be, people got not feeling very well, and then they blew it up to be a case of Havana Syndrome or something like that. All right, everybody.